Session 20, 11th November 2022. Session 20, 11th number 2022. The exegesis of Quran, that is Quran summarized by ex-brigadier Mustafa Billah. We begin from Ashura 42-44, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We continue with Idin Siratul Mustaqim. The main heading is subject is Ihdina Siratul Mustaqim. Give us the right path. Give us the right path. The fifth verse of Surah Al Fatiha. ومن بسم الله ومن يضلل الله فما له من ولي من بعده وأتى المسلمين لما رعوا العذاب يقولون هل إلى مرد من سبيل. Surah Shura 42 verse 44. Translation, explanation. The believers attained the above referred distinctions which were covered in the previous session. The referred distinctions for Allah. The believers attained the above referred and the distinctions covered in the last session. Distinctions for Allah assisted them to do so. For Allah assisted them to do so. They endeavored to move towards the Rabb. They endeavored to move towards the Rabb. He does whatever he considers appropriate. There can be no resistance whatsoever from anywhere in the world. Whatever he doesn't permit can never occur. He guides unto himself whomsoever he wishes. And the precise translation, and he whom Allah lets go astray has no protector after him. And he whom Allah lets go astray has no protector after him. And you will see the disbelievers, transgressors, the depraved, sinful, when they'll have the hell before them, when they'll have the hell before them, lamenting, wishing, if there was a way back to earth, if there was a way back to earth, elaboration, to earth where this time they would be the most faithful believers. A man's crucial folly lies in not comprehending, realizing, and doing things at the proper time. A man's crucial folly lies in not comprehending, realizing, and doing things at the proper time in this little lifespan, limited time at his disposal. His decisions become time critical. His decisions become time critical. Life is almost a tide. A correct timely decision leads to safety. A correct timely decision leads to safety. Mankind has to realize, see, and face the truth of its Creator. The fateful question is when. His success, victory lies in seeing it in his life here, which has been given for this very purpose, after which it will be time bound, after which it will be time barred. When one has entered the playing field to join a match in progress, It's no use trying to change the rules of the game. When one has entered the playing field to join a match in progress, it is no use trying to change the rules of the game. This is how it is, and this is how it will be. Since 14 centuries, no one has been able to prove that Quran is not the word of Allah. Since 14 centuries, no one has been able to prove that Quran is not the word of Allah. Whereas the Judas and the Christians have punchy reservations about their books. Whereas the Judas and the Christians have punchy reservations about their books. Ashura, verse 46. وما كان لهم من أولياء ينصرونهم من دون الله ومن يضلل الله فما له من شد السبيل. Translation: And they have no well-wishers, no supporters to rescue them from hell when Allah hasn't helped them. And they have no well-wishers, no supporters to rescue them from hell when Allah hasn't helped them. And he who is left alone by Allah has no quarter, cannot adopt Allah's straight path in the world, nor save himself from the fire of hell hereafter. 42 verse 47. Al-Shura verse 47. استجيبوا لربكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله وما لكم من ملجأ يومئذ وما لكم من النكير. Translation 42 verse 47. Having known the grave repercussions of disbelieving, transgression, follow the orders of your Rabb before the onslaught of the day, which shall not relent against the will of Allah. Neither would you find any hideout that day, nor anyone on your side to contest your case. Now the translation again. Having known the grave repercussions of disbelieving, transgression, follow the orders of your Rabb before the onslaught of the day, which shall not relent against the will of Allah. Neither would you find any hideout that day, nor anyone on your side to contest your case. Elaboration. Every atom belongs to Allah. He has not permitted anything to be transferred to the next world with the man except his deeds. Every atom belongs to Allah. He has not permitted anything to be transferred to the next world with the man except his deeds. He'll get them when the disbelievers, sinful, would disavow point blank all their misdoings. Besides every part of their own body, everything will dispose against them to lay out their sins threadbare. As a last resort, they'll blame all their guides, leaders, the demigods, and even their bosom friends for having allured them astray. Even they would depose against the sinful. They would then plead Allah for another chance, a life ab initio. They would then plead Allah for another chance, a life ab initio. But Allah would not recreate all the worlds. If, however, hypothetically, they were to be given another opportunity, they would repeat performance. They would repeat performance. Surah Az-Zukhruf 43 verse 2. Wal Kitabil Mubin. Translation. It is sworn by this book Quran, which makes the truth amply clear for he who fears Allah. It is sworn by this book Quran, which makes the truth amply clear for he who fears Allah. Abasa, Surah 80, verse 9. Wahuwa Yaksha. And he, Abdullah bin Maktoum, a companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who was blind, quest for guidance convincingly, quakes, shudders with fear of Allah the Almighty. He is terribly aware that the day of accountability is as real as the day he is living, and he has to girdle himself, get ready for it. He is prudently worried to know the likes and dislikes of Allah. He is prudently worried to know the likes and dislikes of Allah, and has taken all the trouble to come in spite of being blind. Actually, it is not he, but the disbeliever who is blind, who cannot see the truth, who hears the revelations of Quran, but cannot see the light. Who hears the revelations of Quran, but cannot see the light, is deplorably mixed up, misty, even about the advent of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even about the advent of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is spiritually blind, two-bit, petty, foredoomed. He is spiritually blind, two-bit, petty, foredoomed, yet unfortunately proud of his being spiritually ignoramus. Al-Fasr, Surah 89:11, verse Allazina tabu fil bilad. Al-Fajr. Those were the people who didn't fear Allah, but Allah endowed them with a strain of talent, affluence, and power, who exceeded all limits, became blatantly transgressing in the city, land, and an endemic danger, tyranny, and misery for the weak and helpless people. Those were the people who didn't fear Allah, but Allah endowed them with a strain of talent, affluence, and power, who exceeded all limits, became blatantly transgressing in the city, land, and endemic danger, tyranny, and misery for weak and helpless people. They suppressed other people, became bloodthirsty, perpetuated tyrannies, considered themselves invincible, and overstretched themselves in arrogance, bloodletting, and disobedience of Allah. They demonstrated to the optimum a devilish, evil, demented, demeaning, disgraceful demeanor, conduct, And so the prophets prayed to Allah to punish them. Then Allah rubbed them and buried them in the sands of time. Then Allah rubbed them and buried them in the sands of time to be lessons for the mankind. Allah is definitely, patently, unmistakably tracking all their misdoings to engulf and grip them whenever He so chooses. The disbelievers, sinful, depraved, don't rumble, don't see through the deception that the rumpus, that is the rumpus life, noisy regalements, their freedom to do the evil, their apparent power and affluence is a booby trap. The disbelievers, sinful, depraved, don't rumble, don't see through the deception that the rumpus life, noisy regalements, their freedom to do the evil, their apparent power and affluence is a booby trap. Suddenly, the shimmering carpet will be blown from under their feet, will be pulled out from under their feet, and they'll fall into the abyss of the fiery hell. And they will fall into the abyss of the fiery hell. When Allah desires to test a believer and grants him wealth, power, and honor, he is right in the spotlight. The believer is right in the spotlight. The man takes all the credit himself, becomes supercilious, disdainful, thinking and showing he is better than other people, and claims that he had been rewarded because he deserved every bit of it, and claims that he had been rewarded because he deserved every bit of it. When Allah, in order to test his faith, loyalty, and perseverance, depletes him monetarily, he denounces it, complains against Allah that Allah has disgraced him, put him up the spout in a hopeless situation for no fault of his, no plausible reason. Why shouldn't Allah disgrace the people when they don't treat the orphans with respect and dignity? Why shouldn't Allah disgrace the people when they don't treat the orphans with respect and dignity? Rather than maintaining a kind and helpful relationship with all the near and far relatives, each helping out the other when required to get over the bridge, each helping out each other when required to get over the bridge, the society has become atomized, everyone for himself. The society has become atomized, everyone for himself. The lust of money makes people bloodsuckers, trying to extract as much money from others as possible. They disregard, flout the injunctions of Allah, circumvent the laws, and exploit mankind through interest, usury, and exploit mankind through interest, usury. They lend money to the needy people, communities on exorbitant interest and call it aid, a favor. They lend money to the needy people, communities, and on exorbitant interest and call it aid, a favor. Their rapaciousness, greed, has no limits. Their rapaciousness, greed, has no limits. Wait for the day when they will be in utter distraught, in troubled mind and grief, forced to ponder, lament that they had pegged their lives on dross, least valuable things of no use today. They'll be forced to ponder, lament that they had pegged their lives on dross, least valuable things of no use today. They'll quake with fear, but the time when fear of Allah could pay great dividends would be over. They'll quake with fear, but the time when fear of Allah would pay great dividends would be over. Wrapped completely, absorbed in their reeking, stinking misdeeds, they'd sigh if they had believed Quran. They wouldn't have been astounded, shocked today. They'd sigh if they had believed Quran. They wouldn't have been astounded, shocked today. Inshallah, Surah 94, verse 7. Faiza farakta fansab. Then, translation, then when you are a mite free of the people, after performing your arduous task of delivering Allah's message, labor, exert, concentrate in totality, in fear and remembrance of Allah, in solitude, to be at peace. I repeat, then you are a mite free of the people after performing your arduous task of delivering Allah's message. Labor, exert, concentrate in totality, in fear and remembrance of Allah, in solitude, to be at peace. Link your heart with Allah, refurbish, recharge it with His love, and seek guidance. A prophet and so a pious follower too feels fettered, chained, and his heart is restless without the remembrance of Allah. A prophet and so a pious follower too feels fettered, chained, and his heart is restless without the remembrance of Allah. So the time he has to deal with human beings weighs heavy with him. The moment he is in solitude with Allah, his heart becomes perky, lively again. Surah Al-Inshirah 94 verse 8, next verse. Vela Rabbika Farghab, and devote yourself, your heart, your all-out concentration, love, attention, earnestly, completely, and totally to your Rabb. Often additional prayers Nawafil, plead for his forgiveness, pray for the accomplishment of your mission with ease, and seek his pleasure and closeness. Offer additional prayers Nawafil. It's the remembrance of Allah which makes all the difference. But there are people who forget, ignore him, although the man has been created on a fine structure in appearance and qualities. He has been made on a nature to become a perfect embodiment of Allah's will. But when he is skeptical, arrogant, disbelieving, he falls below the level of animals. But when he is skeptical, arrogant, disbelieving, he falls below the level of animals. 96 Surah Al-Alaq, verse 9. Right Allazi Yanha. Have you seen Abu Jahl, the leader of idolaters of Makkah, like all the leaders of the disbelievers, who prevents, teases, humiliates, and threatens Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the few followers he has presently? 96 as Alak verse 10. Abadan Iza Sallah, a man of Allah, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from offering Salah prayers. 96:11. Araita in kana alal huda, O Muhammad, verse 11. Do you see the fate of such a man, malefactor, evildoer, who is doing the wrong for the wrong cause, whereas the victimized, whereas the victimized one is on the righteous path, offering praise. In the first instance, he doesn't fear and obey Allah Himself. To pour oil on flames, he obstructs those who do double fault. Additionally, such people are supercilious, arrogant, disdainful, thinking and showing they are superior to others. Little can be done to help them, for they don't think over the possibility of their being wrong. So it is not that Allah wished certain people to be in hell. Allah endowed man with a mind and made him knowledgeable, educated him, but he denounced Allah's gifts and closed his mind. The spiritually dead denounce logic and reasoning. The spiritually dead denounce logic and reasoning. Al-Alaq 96 verse 12. O Amara bitaqwa, or the one blocked, molested, punished, is urging others to fear the Rabb in all their deeds, is urging others to fear the Rabb in all their deeds. Surely the malefactor, evildoer, the bloody minded is doomed, ditched. Al Alaq 96 verse 13. Araita in Kazaba Tawalla, O Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, do you see him rejecting the truth, refusing to accept the faith, righteousness, reality, and sticking to his lust, laughing scornfully, turning away? Surely he laughed on the other side of his face. Surely he laughed on the other side of his face, forced to change from triumphant joy to disappointment and regret quite soon. Al-Alaq verse 14. Alam yalam inna Allah yara. Doesn't the man know, realize, has he become oblivious of the fact that he is declaiming against the injunctions of Allah who is watching him? Al-Alaq 96:15. Kalla lam yanti la nasfama bin nasiya. Surely not. Let the man be clear in so far as he doesn't refrain from such dastardly conduct. We'll grip him by the hair of his forehead and drag him into hell. Let him be aware. 96 Al-Alaq verse 16. Nasiyatin kazibatin khatia. And what a skin, what a sinkiput, what a sinkiput forehead, the head of a person whose every hair is duped in disbelieving and sin. Al-Humaza, Surah 104, verse 1. وَلُلَّ كُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. There is a great misfortune, serious trouble for the one whose effusion, uncontrolled flow of speech, criticism, conversation is shamelessly rude, cynical, and hurting, ruthless, and who exhumes, digs out faults, slanders, and maligns people in their absence because he doesn't fear Allah. Lastly, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have stated, "He who believes in Allah and the hereafter should speak the good, positively and pleasantly, or else remain quiet." I repeat, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have stated, "He who believes in Allah and the hereafter should speak the good positively and pleasantly, or else remain quiet." Before I close, I may just say that if one husbands and wives, couples follow this only this very saying of the Prophet, there'll never be breakup, there'll never be infighting, etc., or between the husbands and wife. That is, he who believes in Allah and thereafter should speak the good positively and pleasantly, or else remain quiet. Tafsir Mazhari. That's all for today. Shall meet tomorrow, inshallah. Allah be willing. Till then, please pray for me. Ex Brigadier Mustan Sadullah.